Welcome to the COSAFA Show with Mark Gleason and Nick Say.
Welcome to our latest episode of the COSAFA Show as we reflect on a record 7 Southern African nations that have qualified for the TotalEnergies CAF African Cup of Nations Morocco 2025. Angola, Botswana, Comoros, Mozambique, South Africa, Zambia and Zimbabwe will all be at the finals that are still some way off and start on December 18, 2025. We'll hear from 2 coaches who have achieved what many did not think was possible with their sides, starting with Morena Ramoreboli, who has taken Botswana to just a second ever visit to the continental showpiece event. German coach Michael Nees is new in the job with Zimbabwe, but already has them back at the AFCON after a solid qualification campaign with the Warriors. We will also hear from him. But first, South African Ramoreboli has enjoyed great success with Botswana club side Jwaneng Galaxy, and he details his national team's campaign and the future.
Honestly speaking, I won't lie to you. It was a bit stressing because it was a moment where we say, but we had it here at home and all of that. But at the same time, when you look at the opponents we were playing against, you say, but these people, 90% of them are playing in European leagues. They are top players in those leagues. And here you are, you managed to get a point. And this is the point. I said to them after the match, I said to them, I am not trying to buy your face, but I don't see this lock changing. And to be honest, I won't even tell you where did I get that confidence. But I believe that God knew that we are to qualify. So he wanted to pave our path so that we can easily go back and say, God was with us in this journey. But had we won and think that it is because of our talents and our intelligence would quickly forget the importance of God in our lives. So I think he took us away from where everybody thought we will easily make it and take us to a difficult condition so that we can easily glorify his name. And I think, honestly speaking, with the confidence and the belief we had, we managed to come right.
And what's your future now with this team? Are they going to give you this job on a full-time basis?
To be honest, Mr. Mark, I was given the responsibility to provide a service by the president of Botswana Football Association. And I think I did that. I went out to make sure that I represent the country and I also provide the service. I have done that. I regard myself like a chef who was asked to prepare the meal. I have prepared the meal. The meal was served. And now it is up to the people who were eating the meal to say, no, it was good. We'll want you to prepare another meal for us. So at this stage, I don't want to put myself under pressure and say, hey, I want this, I can do this. Honestly speaking, there's a high responsibility that I have taken at Jwaneng Galaxy, which also needs my concentration, my attention. And I'm trying my level best to make sure that I don't divide my attention. If it comes, I'll take it. If it doesn't come, I'll accept and I'll appreciate the opportunity they have given to me.
And was it difficult in a way to pick up another man's team after the 4 games that Coach Gomez da Rosa left? Did you find it? You have to make many changes? Did you just do your own thing? Did your knowledge of Botswana football help you? Of course, there are lots of Galaxy players. How was it an easy step for you?
No, it was not an easy step, honestly, because obviously each coach has his own tactics, his own beliefs, and I'm coming into a team that has just won 2 matches from playing on a low block, and they managed to score 2 goals and they did not concede. And the very same 2 matches puts them in a position of qualifying for Africa Cup of Nations. And you are coming in, so much is expected from you. But I think what helped was that I had to have a one-on-one or one-on-ones meetings with telephonic meetings with the players, just to understand what was happening. And then after that, I told myself that, yes, I'm going to bring some changes, but I'm not going to move too much away from what the coach was doing, because one, if you try to play an open game and you try to play possession football, which are things that they did not do much, it might be a risk, because players will have to adapt to what you want, and at the same time, they will now start to play in a type of football that maybe one would say they might not have that belief in it, because they have not been playing that kind of a game. But you had to say, let's do the analysis of the opponents and show who are we playing against and what do we need to do. And one, we knew that we are playing at home against Mauritania. As much as we will want to sit deep and maybe play on a counter. But what if Mauritania says, no, let's just take a draw here, and then we'll fight in the last match against Cape Verde, because these people will be traveling to Egypt. There's a high possibility that with the record of Egypt, yes, after they have played 12 games without losing at home, these guys might lose a game, and then we'll qualify. So we had to understand that we need to extend and open the lines so that we can be able to attack. And it worked for us. It's just unfortunate that we could have won the match, looking at the number of chances we created, the opportunities we missed, and they did not really give us problems. But technically, honestly, you can't take away the fact that they are very technical. So and they know how to play that 4-4-2 which they are playing. So we had to understand that as much as you need to change things, but they need to buy into what you want to do. And fortunately, they understood why we have to press high. They understood why we have to play forward passes. They understood why we have to keep the ball for the match against Mauritania. Then you go to a next match and say, now, what has been working for us is more relevant here. We are playing away. We need to play more on a medium block. We need to play defending closer to each other. And it worked for us. So fortunately, what the coach did, he laid a foundation. And then I had to come in and say, we are home. What do we do when we are home? We are away. What do we do when we are away? So it was easy for me in that way to manage and control certain things. But to be honest with you, I did not bring too many changes, because I did not want it also to start something new, because whatever that the coach has been doing was working. So I just had to say, let's work on this and try to bring that belief, and it worked for us.
On a personal level, I mean, last season you had Champions League experience. How disappointing was it for you not to qualify again this time and sort of build on what you had done in the last season?
Disappointing, but let's be honest. You are playing against a big team in the continent, and you have won against the very same team last year. So obviously things were going to be difficult for us this time around, because obviously the motivation level is different. The commitment from the players is different. Now they know that we are capable of taking them out of the competition. So we had quickly to accept and understand that it was not meant to be. But the most important thing is to say, can we try our level best to improve our performance and maybe qualify again next year, so that we can compete again in the CAF Champions League. So I believe it is possible. It will happen again. But we have taken lessons against Orlando Pirates, and lessons which I think were very important to understand that sometimes you need to be strong mentally to deal with certain things. Sometimes you need to understand that the level of pressure that you might go through needs you to understand that it's a game of football and a lot of things that are happening. So we have learned, and we're going to improve.
Here in South Africa, we often see your name pop up. Of course, people follow what you do, and then when a new job becomes available, you are always somewhere in the mix. But we've yet to see you in the PSL. Is that have you been approached? Is there a reason perhaps we haven't seen you as a coach of a PSL club, or is that still something that's on the future radar for you?
To be honest, I have been approached several times by different clubs, even the first division clubs in SA. But I will be honest with you, Mr. Mark. I said, let me grow the brand. Let me also learn the continental challenges and the type of football to expect when you are in the north. That is why maybe it was easy for me to analyze Egypt, because we have played a lot of matches against the teams from the north. So you ended up knowing, as much as I have interest of going back to SA, but I think it should be at the right time, and when I'm also ready for that kind of an opportunity. But I told myself that I'm not going to close that door. If the offer is good and the vision is there to be understood, then I will take a responsibility and take over the team. And secondly, I've told myself that I don't want to be a coach that moves from one club to the other just because you're looking for an opportunity. But I want to grow and growing, making sure that I do things right, so that even when I leave Joaneng Galaxy, I leave Joaneng Galaxy with good spirit, so that tomorrow when things are not going well and I want to come back, they can quickly open the door and say, here's our man, and he's back. So I think I have also had to develop a little bit of patience in making sure that I do things right. Everybody wants money, but we need to understand that you don't sell your career for money, but you build your career to make money. So that's one thing that I've told myself, that when the time is right, the God Almighty will give me the right opportunity for me to take whatever that I've been doing, whatever that I've learned, into the next level. And
people from Botswana will be very reluctant to let you go.
I believe so, but to be honest, I think I had several meetings with my bosses, and to some extent they were saying they will be very happy to see me leaving, whether to go to national team or to go a club that is bigger than them, and the club that will really take care of the talent that I have. So I think they are willing, but at the same time, they are also saying it should be for the right reasons. So I think they have always been supportive to me. And this is not about being loyal, but it's about being honest about situations. Because if I move now to a club that has already done pre-season, have already signed players, there's a possibility that I might get there and find 6-7 players who can complement how I want to play. And that's the mistake that most of us making, because when we get offers, we forget to check whether the personnel there will help you to achieve what you are being mandated to achieve. So it's best that you wait and say, let me get time, let me profile the team, let me analyze individuals within the team and see if they will complement what I want to bring into the team. And if they do, then it's easy for you to take over and start working.
It was 10 years ago in the 2013-14 season that there were 10 players from Botswana in the PSL. You think of guys who went to Bloemfontein Celtic, Mogorotsi, for example, etc., etc. That's the biggest contingent we've had. Are South African clubs overlooking Botswana talent at the moment? Are they missing out on something?
I think when you are in the Africa Cup of Nations, when you compete and you're doing well in the continent, that's when the coach starts to develop interest of saying, can I go to Botswana and maybe I will get to Mogorosi? Can I go to Botswana, maybe I'll get to Mongalo, I will get Deep Sololo, and I will get to Mokoshi Khabonamong, I will get to Dambe. You name them. There were a lot of players, like you're saying, who went to South Africa, and they did very well. But let's be honest, if the level drops, even clubs that can easily get players from Botswana, they lose interest. Let's be honest, at the moment, we only have 4 players who are playing outside the country, and they're playing in Africa. 1 at Chiefs, 2 in Morocco, 1 in Algeria. Now, if we want to increase the pool of players going outside, we need to firstly be stable in our performance, and we should always compete, then it will be easy for scouts to come. I was doing an interview in one radio station in Lesotho, and I said, for as long as Lesotho is not doing well with the national team, let's understand that as much as there's talent in Lesotho, but people are not willing to take a risk because they want to have reference and say, but this player was with the national team in the Africa Cup of Nations. So it's easy to say he can meet the demands of the club. If you look at the Zambia that is now qualifying for AFCON, some of the players played in the COSAFA. There's a boy who's playing central midfield, Kampumbu, a very good player. But you should understand that because Zambia has not been doing well, not many people would have identified Kampumbu. I was fortunate to play against Kampumbu in the COSAFA, and I realized that he's a very good player. There's a center back, I think it's Kimbala or Kambala, something like that. A very good player. He was also playing in the COSAFA team. So what happened? It took long for Zambia also to regain momentum because they had to try and integrate these overseas-based players with the locals. And when you look at them now playing, you can see that Coach Grant is doing something very special. And he has allowed even players from the local league to form part of the national team. As much as he has good players who are playing in Europe, but he has tried to make sure that he brings that connection. And that's exactly what will help Zambia to produce too many players to go to different leagues in the world, which is something that will happen with Botswana because people will see players in the Africa Cup of Nations. People will start to follow now and say, who made this possible for Botswana to go into Africa Cup of Nations? Then maybe we'll see that number of 10 or more increasing again in South African League, and we start to see our players getting opportunity in the Premier League again.
Last question I want to ask you from a national coach perspective is there's a lot of emphasis placed on trying to have as many players overseas as possible because there is this belief, Hugo Bruce certainly says it all the time, that the player overseas is better developed than the local player, etc., etc. But South Africa did very well with local-based players. Egypt, of course, have a long history of excellence with local-based players. Are you a believer that you must have, the more players you have overseas, the better it is for your team? Or do you think that people are underrating the league standards in Africa, the quality that is still based at home?
I think it serves both ways. One, in Europe, the standard is high, or in international leagues, the standard is very high. In terms of coaching, players are getting a lot of coaching at that level. Two, psychologically, I think they're doing something very good in terms of making sure that players behaves well and all of that. And two, locally, you'll find that the talent is there, but the biggest challenge is how we manage that talent, how we coach that talent, how we grow this talent. So I will say it's important to have those that goes outside so that they become an inspiration to those that are local. But at the same time, if you have locals who are coachable, if you have locals who are disciplined, if you have locals who are ambitious and who understands that I want to go to the top, and for me to go to the top, I need to sacrifice, then you are having a good team that can do the job for you. Like you're saying, Coach Hugo is playing 90% of local players. Why? They are ambitious, they are hungry, they want to achieve. And two, you can see now that some of them have made possessions in the national team theirs. And for them to keep those possessions, they need to work hard, they need to compete. So we need to be honest. When you look at right back, Mundau has taken over the right back. As much as coach will always have Mobi and maybe other players, but we know that Mundau is there. You go to the left back, Mudiba is there. So obviously, the profiling of players and the age and the ambition is very important. You can have local players who are not ambitious. They're not going to achieve anything. Two, you need to have a coach who understands what these players can offer and what these players can do. And if you get it right, it's easy. For as long as they're ambitious, for as long as they are willing to learn, for as long as they are willing to compete with the best in the world. You'll sometimes have challenges of dealing with maybe the tactical superiority of other teams or other national teams. But the most important thing, if they are willing, they will quickly adapt to every challenge. So for me, I will say it works both ways. You can have locals who are ambitious and still achieve. You can have foreign-based players who are not ambitious and still fail. You can have few foreign players mixed with the locals and still achieve, which is what is working for Coach Hugh at the moment. So we shouldn't really push the leagues in Europe too high and forget that players need to also have the ambition to play for the country. He need to have the good heart to develop and deliver for the country. And if that happens, then you have best players that can help.
Michael Nees has achieved a quick turnaround for Zimbabwe since his arrival earlier this year, bringing back the likes of Ramoreboli into the international fold. He sheds light on his side's campaign.
During the interview process, that was also quite an interesting challenge, to be frankly honest, to be selected for this job. During the interview process, I also had to prepare myself. And when I watched all the games, I always felt there is a player missing behind the striker or who can make the difference. You were all good footballers, they were all very powerful and this and that, but there was something like a creative heart missing. And I know Kama from his football career, and I observed how he performed when he was back in Zimbabwe. And then I approached him. I had to approach the club also. It was not just that you phone, hey, you want to play again for the national team. These players and others you always write about, they have conditions, and the conditions are not about money or something like that. They have conditions that the things around the team is run fully professional. They don't want to come from retirement and 1 month later retire again or resign again. They want that everything is clean around the team, from the hotel booking up to the match venue, to the flight bookings, up to the player selection, to the final selection on the pitch. And they even are not, they even can accept to be on the bench. But they want to know that everything is, from a football, from a professional, from a sports point of view, run appropriately. We are a small federation, but everybody is giving the best. I mean, you can ask Mike, it's not easy. We had the idea to fly a charter flight to Cameroon, but we were just over-challenged with our own tasks. But everybody is there giving the best, and I think the players also felt that they're not somehow fooled or something. And that is basically the secret. That's why they put everything on the table on the pitch. Very simple. I didn't play today. I didn't put God knows Moriva on the bench because I didn't like him or someone phoned me or whatsoever. Very simple. We know that the number 9 is maybe the best number 9 in Southern and East Africa. He's an absolute top-class player, and we needed someone who can mark him in set pieces. And God knows he's a head shorter than Munashe. Very simple. And so I had to put him in, even on a full-back position. And he's also quite fast, even though he's tall. And so I said, we need more speed there, we need more height in the set pieces. And that's why he was selected today. It was also hard for God knows who played every 4 games before. So there's nothing... It is just purely sports point of views, and I could have been also wrong. I said today we started with Masman Hise. Yeah, he's in good shape. When you select a player, he's in good shape. He scores goals in their leagues. He makes assists in the leagues. And yes, he's a shorter guy, but in attack it can be sometimes an advantage when you are more agile and mobile against the tall guys. There are 5 or 6 players which are 195 or 190 tall. And they're very strong in the air, but in the ground, these players can make then maybe the difference. And actually, it worked out, so we can be very happy. You know?
And just now, that how disappointing is it? You qualify with the team on a high, and you sort of have to wait a year to play the tournament that you've qualified for.
Yeah, but we knew that before, no? And I cannot now start crying about that, because we knew it before. It's a bit strange. The whole qualification was also very condensed. Imagine a key player gets injured, he's out of the complete qualification. No? And so it was a real challenge, this qualification. It was condensed. When you lose, you cannot rectify things. The calendar is fully packed. You have no time to train. When we play now in Cameroon, I can tell you we have only one session, 60 minutes in the stadium. Yeah? That's all. The rest is traveling. Yeah? Not even a recovery training. So, yeah, but I must also say it gives us time. You know, we were a lot under time pressure. That was a big challenge when I came. Really, the time pressure was massive. The staff never worked with me. I just took over who was there. People I never worked before. I did that in the past also. And I know what it means. You have to yourself open up, and you have to give trust, but you also have to give trust back. And it's you never know how it will end. But I must really compliment all the technical staff, the coaches, assistant coaches, goalkeeper coaches. If I start now with one name, the medical department, the team administration, you know, that belongs all, the media department, you know, it all belongs together. This is like one team. It's not just 11 players or 22 players, 23 players and a coach and this and that. Everybody from kid, I think I cannot mention them all, they belong together and they really worked very hard and very good.
I have two questions. One is, you've talked about a congested calendar. How is that affecting you know, the players just really being able to express themselves on the pitch and giving their best? And secondly, what's your aim as you go back to the Africa Cup of Nations? What's your target in the tournament?
Okay, first of all, the calendar is packed, and when you're the teams which players from outside, many players from outside like us, we have a little bit a diverse team, I would say it, yeah, with players from inside, but a smaller group, maybe 1/3, and 2/3 from outside. And that is a logistical challenge, very big. Yeah? And the big teams, the players come with a private jet even, then they fly with charter flights. When we come to Cameroon, they lie in the pool and smile at us relaxed. It's very simple. Bafana, since 2 or 3 years, they take charter flights. That's also why they perform better. Because it's just important that in Africa, the travel is stressful, the distances are big, and you have in 3-4 days another game. It affects, you cannot train basically. You have 1 or 2 training sessions. From my background, I'm a little bit maybe fortunate or lucky. I worked always with federations, and in my jobs I was very often always under time pressure in that sense that I never had much time to fulfill my tasks. And I think I knew I can give an influence in a short time. I really knew that, but you can never predict it for 100% if the influence is that positive. But the big teams which are supported, like the Cameroon or so, they have a huge advantage in that, a big advantage. There's absolutely no doubt, and it will be very difficult for the teams in between, who also have players from outside, without sponsors, to cope with them. It's going to be very difficult. There's absolutely no doubt, because the calendar will rather get more compact and relaxed. I can remember when I was working with Rwanda, sometimes we had 2 weeks, the team together before a national team match in 2006, 2007. Now it's 2-3 days. Players, the last group of players always arrive on a Tuesday. So, and the match, sometimes Thursday or Friday. So then you have the Wednesday, Thursday final session. So many things happening in meetings also. And you need their support staff, yeah? Analysts. If I say one name, it would be unfair to the others, you know. But if not everybody there pulls on one string, you have 0 chance. It's very simple. And it can affect. Some teams are there advantaged. In some smaller teams where the players come mostly from local teams, they have more time. So the teams in between, they're actually the most disadvantaged teams in that whole scenario. Regarding the tournament, objective, actually, that's too far. No? You cannot really predict. I mean, if you're there, you want to come to the second round. You don't want to go there just to be there and train 5-6 times in the tournament and have 3 matches and then go home. But I think that goes for every team which participates. But it's very, very far. You don't know, can the players keep their shape, their fitness? Maybe one gets injured, maybe bad or so, is out. It's too far. Yeah? It's a bit unique, I must also say. Normally a tournament should be 3 months, 4 months after the qualification and not over a year. Yeah? But the calendar, I think, didn't make it possible in another way, so we have to accept it as it is. It gives us time really to work on things, because there's no doubt, we will also come in a valley sooner or later. In a short valley, we hope just that it's in a period which is not so affecting, has a negative consequences. I know next year in June there's a window where there's no qualification match. If it would happen there, I would be happy.
That's it for another episode of the COSAFA Show. It is a long break for our national teams now until the 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifiers resume in March. Don't forget, you can listen to more of our podcasts on our YouTube channel, Spotify, and iTunes. You can also get the latest news via our website at www.cosafa.com and on X, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok.